Okay, all right, so here we are. And this is Bunny, but I'm going to have her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself. Okay, so Bunny.
I'm Bunny, and I was born in the state of Maine, in a little seacoast town in southern Maine, where I grew up, and I am 86 years old, and I was raised by my paternal grandparents. I have a brother who's 2 years older and a sister who's 17 months younger, and my grandmother and grandfather raised the three of us. During the Depression years, we lived on a farm, grew our own vegetables and those things. Everyone was poor, so we just were like the rest of the people. Went to a 2-room schoolhouse.
Oh my.
And I think over the years I have learned that I had a very good basic education. And then went on to high school in town, where we all had to walk to school. And again, I think we had a good basic education there too.
Great.
I've always been active in school. In high school, I was a majorette. I was a cheerleader. I studied dance for some years. So I have always enjoyed being physically active, I think.
Great.
When I got married, my husband went to school on the GI Bill, and when he graduated, we came here to Washington, D.C., because he had a job here in Washington, D.C. So that's how the two of us ended up here. And I have lived here ever since. What else? What do we
Okay.
need?
What type of work, or did you have a family?
I was a stay-at-home mom, which many of us were in those days. Having come from a broken family, I think it influenced me that I wanted to take care of my family, and my husband very much felt the same way. So I stayed home as a stay-at-home mom until my youngest one was 10, and then I had been a volunteer as a librarian in our public school. And then the county asked me, wouldn't I please come to work for them in the county? They had just begun having paid librarians in the public schools in Prince George's County. So that's how I went back into the school system, and I worked for 10 years in the school system. Our 2 children were then out of school, and I sort of thought I'd retire at that point.
And was your retirement an easy transition, or?
At first, yes. But being used to being active, I was beginning to be bored staying home. And my husband was associate director of maintenance at Catholic University at that time. So I volunteered at Catholic U in registration and those things, and then got talked into coming to Catholic U to work.
Oh.
And I worked at Catholic U for 16 years. And there I basically worked with students in student accounting and all of those sorts of things. Housing, food program. I had several different jobs that I had at Catholic U.
Great. So then, what was your age then when you left there?
Well, I didn't retire till I was, 68 when I retired. I was going to work until 70 because I enjoyed my job and felt good. And but anyway, things worked out, and I only worked till I was 68.
Okay. So then you are back at home again.
I'm back again in Greenbelt. I think the first week I retired, Juanita Tompkins approached me at church with a registration form for exercise class.
Oh, great.
I had done exercise before that. I did an interesting one. We had swimmer sizes. and we went to the pool and did exercise in the pool, which was great. But out here, I signed up for exercise with the Sage class. And then not too long after that, Bernie Giese came with another form, for me to go to Golden Age Club immediately. And since then, it hasn't slowed up for a minute.
Right. I do know you, and I know you stayed quite active.
And enjoyed it very much, yes.
Great. And you said you're 87, 86?
I'm 86.
86. So how do you find being 86?
Well, I find it being great. I'm very fortunate in that I feel good. I basically have good health and a family that I think, it helps to have family around. Sometimes they annoy you, but most of the time you're glad they're there. And I'm amazed sometimes because I stop and think, how did I get to this age? But that's life, I guess, and I'm very grateful that I have made it to this ripe old age.
And what do you attribute your good health to?
Well, I think some of it is genes, definitely. And I have really pretty much led an active, physically active life, and I think mentally, too.
Mm-hmm. And socially.
And socially, yes, definitely. And as I say again, being healthy, all of that I think adds up to living a long time.
Right, right. So are there any fears that you have about getting even older?
Yes, I think we all worry about that. What happens in a few more years? Do I have to give up driving, which I think is sad. You give up your independence. And also, maybe not continuing to live by myself in the future. You have to make a decision on that. And I think ahead of time is the time to make that decision.
Right.
Other than that, I guess it's sort of one day at a time and
right.
keep
And
busy.
do you think because you have stayed so busy and so active with so many things
Yeah.
that even if you do lose the car or whatever,
Yeah.
that you'll find ways to...
Yes, I think so. Definitely
Yeah.
think I will. Would find activities or things, yes. And there are things offered if you look for them, and particularly here in Greenbelt, there are many things offered for seniors. So, yes, I think I would
Right.
probably stay active.
And then, of course, there's the possibility that you won't have to lose your car.
Yes. Not for several more years.
Right.
I keep telling my children this.
Right, right. Are your children concerned for you with where you are in life?
I think so. I think my daughter feels that this is her responsibility, and she fusses at me occasionally. I think in the long run she knows Mom's going to do what Mom wants to do, but yes, she does
Right.
worry a bit.
How do you sort out that in your own mind with your daughter being...
It's difficult because you want to go along with her. You know that she cares, but you also want to still stay independent. You want to make your own decisions.
Right,
I do anyway.
right.
And I think she realizes this, but she's trying to be helpful.
Can you let her know in more ways than one that how independent you are?
Yes, I do. And I tell her not to worry and, these kind of things, yes.
Right.
She thinks I do too much.
Now, I do believe in people's own knowingness of themselves. But, that could be her own fears that are
Exactly.
coming out
It
for
is.
you.
It's exactly that she cares, and she worries about me.
Right. Which, we can say that's on her.
Yeah.
And you
I
tune
do.
in,
Yeah.
you know yourself better than anybody.
Yeah. I agree.
And you can maybe assure her that if you do need help, you'll be sure and let her know.
I do. I try to, and we're in close touch. I don't mean any problems with
Right.
that at all. No,
Right.
that's fine. And my grandchildren are very close to me. I'm very grateful for that. That helps a lot too.
Yeah. Talk about that for a moment. How does that help? I know.
I think of it keeps me in touch with a younger generation of things, which I think is, well, seniors and grandmas, we tend to maybe look at them from our own angle in our own life. And I find some of them are very different now than, what we had.
Right.
But yes, I do enjoy my grandchildren very much.
So as they're growing, you're also
Yes,
growing.
Yes. Having been raised by grandparents, I think I have a great deal of respect or insight into what grandparents go through, certainly.
Right. So what do you think of this whole aging process?
I said again, I have no complaints, really. I think, as a general rule, society has a much wider outlook about it than they used to.
Yes.
You got to be 80 while you were put aside somewhere and left to be old.
Right.
And I think now we have a much different attitude to aging.
Right. And do you think that you're setting a role for your grandchildren and
Yes.
a role model?
Yes, definitely. Definitely,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, they have to be pretty impressed with what you're doing.
Well, as my granddaughter told my grandson one day, you don't want to make me more mad at you. So they toe the line there.
Right. Okay, let's go back to your physical activity.
Yes.
With your classes and all that you take, what are the benefits that you get from that? And how do you carve out the time to do that?
I don't have trouble with the time, generally. I schedule, it's all scheduled ahead, and I plan more or less around that. I find...
So that's a top priority for you.
Yes. And I find physically, it means a lot to me. I find I feel better. I've always been active, physically active, and I need that activity, I think. Another side of it, which some of us have stressed, is the social side of it, too. That they're there with other people.
Right.
And we all
And
enjoy
what's
that.
the benefit of that?
Of, I guess, just being with people, talking, working together some in a group. And I find when I don't do my exercises, when we're off, that my body feels it immediately, that I'm not doing my exercises. I miss it.
Wow. Well, that's good incentive.
I think exercising too some helps your mental process, your brain and all too.
Right. Which
As
it very well does, but
Yes.
that's good that you recognize
yes,
that.
I think so too, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, good.
Yeah,
Now,
not much else.
on to, I'm always about the holistic way of living, and you seem like you really bring a lot of that into your life, both with your health, your mental aspect, your social aspect, your spiritual aspect. You're very involved with your church.
Yes, as my church means a lot to me. It's very small, this particular church, but we're almost like a family there at that church. Everybody cares about everyone else, and yes, I think to me my church is very important,
Right.
yes.
So you have connections there and people that care both in your church, in your family, in the classes that you take.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like you must feel very supported in your life.
I do. I say
Great.
I'm supported. I'm very grateful.
Do you know people that aren't living that kind of way?
That's a tough one. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some people.
I guess if you're out and about, you're always with people that are out and
I'm
about.
out with people, but there are some, mainly due to health or mental health, that are now, many of our age group, are beginning to sort of withdraw or, are not out as much, yes.
And do you think that's a conscious thing or an unconscious thing?
Maybe a little of both, but I think physically a lot of it is, sometimes it's an effort to get up and get going or get out.
Right.
And they just don't do that anymore.
And do you think that that's more due with the body, or that it also could be an attitude or the way they're thinking about life or themselves?
I think maybe more their body than I think the body first, and then the mental or that follows through on not being able to get out and do things.
Right. And do you have any sense of ways to help them or support them?
Yes, phone calls. We have things here in Greenbelt with Crystal Beatty, who goes into the home for home care and home things, which are good. That sort of thing helps a lot, I think.
Right.
Or we volunteer for Gives to drive people to appointments, to shopping, and those sorts of things, yes.
Great. Now, I know you just had a big accomplishment.
Yes. Yes, I did, Nancy, and I said I had to brag a bit, but it does mean a lot to me that I did it.
Yes, tell everyone what it was that you did.
It's called the Crop Walk, and that's benefits Church World Services, which treats hunger and things all over the world. We retain some of that money here in Prince George's, but the majority of it goes out to the world, to the starving countries, Kenya and those places. And many of the churches take part in this. It's a yearly thing. And we walk around Lake Artemisha, which is 2.5 miles. And we make it around there.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
People sponsor us, and then we turn the money over to Church World Services. And
Right.
it's a neat thing to do.
Right. So you're getting the benefits from the physical aspect of it, from the social aspect
Yes.
of being with your community, and then with gratitude and generosity to offer to others.
Giving to the poor people who really,
Yes.
really need it.
Right.
Water is a big thing in like Kenya and that. Those poor women walk miles carrying water. So Church World Services does this sort of thing.
Right.
So yes, it makes us all feel good that we've done something like that, I
Right.
think. Yes.
Wow.
And I have to brag again, I am the senior one in my church to walk.
Very good. Very good. Well, we're proud of you too. And I want to thank you for this today. We'll do some other interviews as the time goes on, but this was a good start.
Good.
And we're glad that you're willing to share this.
Good.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I enjoyed doing it.